welcome back to Cup of Culture. My name is Sarena, and in this episode of Tea Around the World, we're going to have a look at Oolong tea. China is known to be the birthplace of tea, as people have been putting leaves into the hot water for thousands of years for medicinal purposes. And legend has it that the emperor Shennong was once sitting under a white tree when leaves fell into simmering hot water. And he tried this beverage out of curiosity, which evolved a beautiful aroma and colour. And that's how tea was basically invented. Today, there are several renowned cultivation areas of Chinese tea, and discovering all of these would simply be too much for one video. I decided to start with one of my favourites, which is Oolong tea. And actually, I believe that this is one of the best teas to immerse yourself into the tea drinking culture. The term Oolong stems from the Chinese words Oolong, which means black dragon, and some people still refer to this category as Oolong or black dragon tea. And there are several myths why this tea got this name, and one is that once the tea unfurls in hot water, the leaves look like black dragons dancing. And another theory refers to plants which wrap themselves around the tea bushes, which also look like black dragons. So the question still remains, what is Oolong? So Oolong is a category to itself, which means it lies between black and green teas as it goes through a semi-oxidization process. And green teas have a 0% oxidization, whereas black teas have 100% oxidization. So the tea leaves begin to oxidize as soon as they are plucked, and oolongs with a lower level of oxidization tend to have a lighter and golden colour, whereas the oolongs which have a higher level of oxidization do have a more brownish colour. This tea massively grew in popularity in recent years, as it doesn't just have this one distinct flavour, and it greatly depends on where the tea leaves are grown and also on the level of oxidization. So the flavour palette spans from fruity with floral aromas to nutty and even roasted, which is amazing. Sometimes you can even get something like a chocolate flavour. The origin of Oolong tea can be traced back to the Fujian province of China. And this province has a subtropical climate. It also consists of a vast mountainous region which provides perfect growing conditions for Oolong tea leaves. The Fujian province is also home to the Wuyi Mountains and the Anxi County, which are both famous for their Oolong teas. And today you can even find notable Oolong teas from Nepal, Indonesia and even New Zealand. So now let's get into how to properly prepare the best cup of Oolong tea. And you should know that as there are so many different kinds of Oolong tea, there is not one singular method how to best brew your tea, as it highly depends on the level of oxidization and even the shape of the tea leaves. So you should always look at the package, what it recommends you to do. Essentially, there are two main methods how you can brew your tea, and that is with the Western method or the traditional Chinese method. And for the purpose of this video, we're going to do both. For the Western method, you should use 1 teaspoon of 2 to 3 grams per 200 milliliters of water, and you should use near boiling water, like 85 degrees Celsius. And then you should pour your water over the tea leaves and let it steep for 1 to 5 minutes, depending on your tea. And I just like to use a scale for this one, just to be 100% sure. So this is the colour after letting it steep for about 30 seconds, and I'm going to let it steep for about 3 minutes, and then we're going to have a look. So you can see that the Oolong tea I have evolved a beautiful golden colour, which I love. This tea warms your soul. It actually does have a light nutty flavour, but before making any conclusions, I'm going to prepare the Chinese way first. In China, Oolong teas are traditionally brewed with the Fujian brewing method with clay teapots or a gaiwan. But if you do not have this at home, that's absolutely no problem at all, because you can just use glassware like me. So as a first step, we won't need an infuser for this method, because we will put our tea leaves directly in the teapot and pour hot water over it. So we're going to rinse our tea leaves with near boiling water, like 85 to 90 degrees. Shake it a little bit and then immediately discard the water. This step is referred to as waking the tea. So our first brew is now ready, and we can pour the water into our little tasting cup. This process can now be repeated several times, and unlike black teas, the oolong tea becomes stronger with every re-steep. And some people say that the third or fourth brew is actually the best. You know what I love about this? That there are literally dragons inside my tasting cups. And now I'm going to try the traditional Chinese one. Interesting, because it's not as strong as the first one, but I feel like you can taste the texture, so to say, of the oolong tea leaves a little bit better. So this is our second brew, and I'm going to pour it into my tasting cup. It's mildly nutty, whereas this one is nutty with floral aromas and this golden kind of thing. So this is the third brew, and I must say that even though we let both teas steep in total for 3 minutes, the first one is a bit more golden. So I think that the flavours are more intense of the second version. So the traditional Chinese version to brew your tea. And especially the third brew does contain the most flavours. So to sum up, oolong is just this crazy tea which unfolds different kinds of flavours, which each brew, and also with different kinds of oolong tea leaves. The Chinese version feels more complete, and you actually taste that the tea leaves unfold different kinds of flavours, which each re-steep. I felt like I immersed more into the tea drinking culture than with the Western version, because it's just like pouring hot water over your tea leaves, which is fine for an everyday basis. If you want to have a cup of oolong tea in the morning, I think this is the way to go. But if you want to sit down and really immerse yourself into the tea drinking culture, then I think you should actually try to prepare oolong tea with the re-steeping processes. So that's it for today's video of tea around the world and our little trip to China and the Fujian province of China. I hope you liked this episode, and that you might even try to prepare the oolong tea with the traditional Chinese method. Let me know what you think about the comparison of those two, and also which tea interests you the most, so I know which one to film next. Let's have a sip together. Until next time, and bye!